All right, welcome. We're going to fill out an income tax form for Catherine Casey. So I'm going to first share my screen. Okay, so what we want to do first is to go to the T1 General, and we're going to fill in her name. So you can type this in. I'm going to type it in. So Catherine, and this is Casey. And then fill in her address. So it's 123 Main Street.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a way to only see just the screen and not like the face cam at the same?
All right, little glitch, you guys. All right, so continue filling in the address. So it's 123 Main Street. In the city, you are going to fill in, there is no city from, if you look onto the T4, it just says city, so we'll just type in city, okay? And for the province, right now, we're gonna type in X. Oh, you know what, just to make it easy, let's type in BC. So let's see, I don't know why, okay. And then her postal code is XO, or sorry, not XO, X0, X0, X0. Now, I'm not sure why the postal code in the fillable is not going into each box, but that's okay. Okay. All right, so then you are going to enter her social's insurance number. So her number, if you look on the T4, is 123456. 789. So type that out into the box, and I think yours might be like mine, and it doesn't type it all into each separate box, and that's okay as well. Okay. All right, next is her birth date. So she's born on November the 13th, 2000. So we need to start with the year. So that would be 2000. And then it is going to be 11 and then 13. Okay. So on my PDF, it looks like a big mesh, but I think normally it would normally work. All right, so your language of correspondence, you're gonna put English, okay? And she is single, so we're gonna click the single, so put a little check mark or click the single box. Okay, please let me know if I'm going too fast, okay? All right, and I think that's it for the first page at the top here, okay? So the email address, I don't think there was an email address that was on the T4, so we're gonna leave that blank, okay? Okay, so information about the residence. So enter your province or territory of residence. So over here, we can put in British Columbia. So either handwrite that or type that in. All right, so the second question says, enter the province or territory where you currently reside if it is not the same. So we're just gonna assume that it's the same, so we'll leave it as BC. Even if you were self-employed, she was not self-employed, she's a student. So we can leave that blank too. And then the last question here is, if you became or ceased to be a resident of Canada for income tax purposes, enter that date. So she's still a Canadian resident because there is no information that she's not. So we can leave all of this as well. She is not married, so she doesn't have a spouse, so we don't have to fill in this box here. Okay. And then at the very bottom, so this is residency information for tax administration agreements. So did you reside on the Nisga'a lands on December 31st, 2017? We can click no. Are you a citizen? And she is not, so click no as well. Okay, so this is sometimes there, sometimes it's not written down there, okay, about the Nisga'a land, but the Elections Canada information will always be there. So it asks you, do you have Canadian citizenship? So we're gonna click yes, so put a little check mark on yes, okay? So if yes, go to question B. If no, skip question B. So question B says, or asks, as a Canadian citizen, do you authorize the Canada Revenue Agency, which is CRA, to give your name, address, date of birth, and citizenship to Elections Canada to update the National Register of Electors? So basically you're asking, or they are asking you, if you're willing to give your name and everything else to Elections Canada so that you can go and vote. I recommend that you click yes. I don't know what most people do. I always say yes. That way that you can vote for the Canadian elections, okay? And I think that's it for the first page. All right, so that's it for the first page. We're going to go on to the second page. So I'm going to scroll to the second page. All right, so step 1. All right, please answer the following question. Did you own or hold specified foreign property where the total cost amount of all such property at any time in 2017 was more than 100,000? So there isn't any forms for Catherine and Casey that indicates this. So we're going to check off no. So in real life, if you have foreign property, which I don't know if you do, if you probably your parents probably do if they live in China and they have foreign property here, or maybe they live here but they have property still in China, then you would click yes. Okay, so if you do click yes, you have to complete this other form, which is called the T1135. So I'm going to show you some other forms later. All right, so now we finally get to the numbers. Okay, so second step is the total income. So it says, as a resident of Canada, you have to report your income from all sources, both inside and outside Canada. When you come to a line on the return that applies to you, go to the line in the guide for more information. So there is actually a guidebook that you can follow. I can't remember how many pages there is. I think like 100 or something. And you would go to the guide when you are going to, let's say, these box numbers. So all of these lines, you will see there's a number. So there's 101, 102, 103. It goes up quite high, okay, I think into the thousands, depending on what form you're filling out. The guidebook will tell you how to fill in the box labeled 101, 102, 103, etc. Okay, so the only thing that we're going to fill in right now is box 101. Okay, so this says employment income. It says box 14. So you're going to refer to your income tax form, and it says of all the T4 slips. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at our T4 slip, and it says box 14. So this would be 3,600, but she has a second T4 slip because she has 2 jobs. She also works at Mario's Pizzeria, and this says 2,600. Okay, so we need to add both of those together. Okay, and so that's going to be so it's 3,600 plus 2,600, and what is that, you guys? Get out your calculators if you need to.
62.
Yeah, so we're going to enter into box 101, and we're going to put 6,200. So it'll be 6,200. Okay. Oh, sorry, 6,200. If you are doing this on paper, I believe you also have to enter in the 0.00, but I don't think I can do that on the fillable. So I'm just going to put 6,200. Okay. All right, I'm just going to quickly go over some of these other ones. Okay, boxes. So it says commissions. So this is if she earned commission. Maybe a realtor will earn commission. Wage loss, replacement contributions. So she doesn't have that. Most of you won't have these things. Other employment income. I think these are ones that are not in the T4 slip. You would enter other income. Old age security, CPP benefits. So let's say that you have retired and now you are collecting CPP, you would enter your CPP benefits, okay? Disability benefits. If you have a learning disability, not a learning disability, a physical disability, you might get some benefits. There's other pensions. So if you read down this list, there's a lot of different things here. What are some things? So there's a universal child care benefit that some of your parents might claim if you have children at home that I can't remember what age. I think it might be 15, but I haven't checked for a while. So they might also get income for that. What else? So interest in investment income. So if you do invest in stocks, or you have a bank account and you have a lot of money that you earn more than maybe $100, then you will also have some interest or investment income, and you would enter this here. So this is actually, I believe, a T5 form that someone would send you. It's similar to the T4, but it's called T5. You might have rental income if you later on, you buy a place and you rent it out, okay? There's also RRSP income, and then so on. So all of this right now for Catherine Casey, there isn't anything to fill out, I believe. Oh, hold on, let me just check something. All right, so there was one other thing that we missed. So I'm gonna go back to the T4 slip. So at the very top here, let's read this again. So Catherine Casey was born on November the 13th. She works part-time at Best Bookstore and Mario's Pizzeria. Last year, she earned $300 in tips from Mario's Pizzeria. They are not included on her T4 slip. So Catherine's T4 slips are shown below. So because she earned the $300 tips, we actually need to enter this into the other income, okay? So going back to the other income, so in line 104, you're gonna put in the number 300, okay? All right, so she doesn't have anything else. So we're gonna add lines 101, and then it says 104 to 143, which is all of these boxes in here. Okay, and then it says, and also add 147, but she doesn't have anything in any of those other boxes. You don't have to put 0 in any of them, okay? You just have to, you just leave it. So what we're gonna do is, oh, you know what? I realized that I'm not putting in the 0, 0. So I'm gonna put in, so I don't know if this happens with 0. So I'm gonna put in 0.00, and then the same with the 300. So I'm realizing that it's going weird. Okay, so then in the total income, we're gonna put 6,500.00, okay? So this is her total income. All right, so we're gonna go to page 3, okay? So step 3 is to calculate your net income. Here on the very top, it just says attach only the documents. So that means schedules, information slips, forms, or receipts requested in the guide to support any claim or deduction. So keep all supporting documents. So I believe, I think the rule is that you have to keep it for, I think, 5 to 7 years. So once you've completed all of this, don't just throw it away if you were doing it in real life for yourself, because they might do something called audit you. Audit means to check to see if you were telling the truth and if everything you filled in is actually real. So if we do it online, we actually don't, we fill everything in, but when I send in my T1 General, I actually don't send in all my slips. So it's kind of on our system, okay? But if you send it in by paper, which you could send this in by paper, they do want you to attach the documents. Always make sure that you have a copy of everything. So if you do send in, you do have to send in your original, but make sure that you have your own copy for yourself, okay? All right, so step 3, enter your total income from line 150. From line 150. So if you look on the previous page, line 150, it said 6,500. So we're going to now go on to step 3 and we're going to enter that number in again. The reason they're asking you to do that is because you're on a different page and they don't want you to keep looking back all the time. So enter in 6,500 here. Okay. And then these are some things that are extra again. So here we have some things, what can I point out to you? So there's an annual union, professional, or dues, okay? So these are dues that you would have to pay if you belong to a union. We still have those universal childcare benefits, childcare, disability support, and et cetera. There's even something called moving expenses, okay? So you would read through here. We don't actually have anything to fill out for Catherine, so we're gonna just go all the way down to here. Make sure that you guys fill in the boxes that are on the right side, okay? The boxes in here aren't necessarily needed to be filled out every time. All right, so this says this is your net income before adjustments. So how do we calculate that? This is line 150 minus line 233. So we don't have anything in line 233. So we are just going to go 6,500. So in box 234, you're going to enter in the number 6,500. Okay, she doesn't have any social benefits. So when we do this line 236, or sorry, box 236, it says line 234 minus line 235, but there's nothing there. So we're just going to put in 6,500 again. Okay. All right, so the next part is taxable income. All right, so taxable income, most likely you guys will not be filling anything out in here. So you can read the different things. So Canadian Forces, personnel and police deduction, unless you're gonna be a police or in the Canadian Forces. Employee home relocation. So sometimes you're given some money because you are relocating. So maybe you're moving from Vancouver to Toronto or Vancouver to Edmonton or wherever you're moving. So you might, if you are a Canadian citizen, you would get some income from that. So it depends on the company, of course. So there's other payment deductions, non-capital losses, net capital, and so on. So she doesn't have any, so we can ignore all of these boxes again. So now it just says line 236 minus line 257, which is, there's nothing there. So now we have her grand total, her taxable income. So this is the income where she is going to be taxed on. So this is the amount she has earned in the last year where it is taxable, okay? So her taxable income is now $6,500, so enter that into box 260. All right, so the next step is step 5, and it says federal tax and provincial or territorial tax. So we live in a province, so we would be filling in the federal tax and the provincial tax form. So it says use Schedule 1 to calculate your federal tax and Form 428 to calculate your provincial or territorial tax. Okay, so at this time, we're not going to go to step 6 yet. We're going to go and do step 5. So what you need to now do is to go to your Schedule 1. Okay, it looks like this. It has federal tax written on the middle at the top, and then Schedule 1 on the top right corner. Okay. All right, so let's follow. This one's a little bit different. So this is step 5 in completing your return. Complete the schedule and attach a copy to your return. For more information, see the related line in the guidebook. Okay, so step 1, federal so we're starting again, step 1, okay? So basic personal amount. So that means that everybody who works in Canada, they get to claim $11,635. So we're gonna enter that or write that into this box here. So write 11,635.00. Okay, so next is age amount. If you were born in 1952 or earlier, you have something to do here. So we don't have to worry about that, and most of you won't have to worry about this for a long time. Spouse or common law amount, there's a schedule that you have to do if you are married or have a common law, okay? So we can skip most of this stuff. You don't have dependents. Dependents are your children, okay? Are you a caregiver? No. So we can skip all of this, and we're gonna go all the way down. So it says CPP, and remember that for her CPP, if you looked in the box, it says box 16 and 17 of all T4 slips, okay? Here, you'll notice that it says 00, okay? Okay. Oh, sorry, it's actually, that's wrong. So that's not the box I'm talking about, sorry. So box 16 and 17 are these boxes here, and it says employees CPP contributions, okay? So the reason that there's 2 boxes is one is for most of the people in Canada, and box 17, it says QPP. Those are for the people who live in Quebec, okay? So right now, there's nothing in box 16. Now, when you go to your federal tax Schedule 1, you'll notice how it says 1, 2, 3 on the side, and notice how it has 4 little dots here. The reason it has those dots here is because those are the amounts that most people will fill in. So instead of trying to find out where you're supposed to put in your numbers, it conveniently has a little dot beside it so you know where to put in the numbers. So if we want, we can, just to make sure that it's official, I guess, we can put in 00 here, okay? And then for here, you don't have to put anything because you don't have self-employment. But the next one, it says employment insurance premiums. So this is box 18 and 55 are all T4 slips. So going back to the T4 slip, box 18, it says $67.68. However, don't forget she also worked at Mario's Pizzeria. So there's also $48.88. All right, so we have to add both of those together. So let's just do that. So $48.88 plus $67.68. And what did you guys get? Anyone doing this?
116.
Very good. All right, so 116 and then 0.56. So you're gonna enter that in box 312, or I guess box 10 if we're looking at Schedule 1, okay? All right, so, and then the next thing, so there's volunteer firefighters, search and rescue, and then this is Canada employment amount. Okay, so it says, if you reported employment income on line 101 or line 104, okay, you can claim the amount. So what was that? So if we recall me saying, so I'm gonna go back. So way back here, way at the top, so this is the T1 general. we recorded income here in box 101. It was 6,200, okay? So just be careful though. So in Schedule 1, in Schedule 1, it says, if you reported income on line 101, which we did, okay, then you're going to claim a maximum amount of 1,178. So in this box here, 363, we're going to enter in 1178.00, okay? All right. The next one is maybe there's a home buyer's amount, adoption expenses, pension income amount. It says user for, she doesn't have any pension, so we can skip this. So we can actually go all the way down.
Look at the crack at the top of the staple. My enemy when I.
Okay, so we're going to scroll all the way down. She doesn't have anything else. There is no tuition. Actually, I will show you tuition later, but when you guys graduate from high school and you guys go to post-secondary, you actually might have a tuition, education, and textbook amount. So this is a good thing because that means that you can pay less tax, okay? So we can talk about that afterwards. And then tuition amount transferred from a child. So sometimes if you're a post-secondary student, you might not be able to claim all of your amount. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about it now. So I'm going to show you Schedule 11. Okay, so this is Schedule 11. Oh, sorry. You don't have to fill it in for Catherine Casey, but if you guys are doing it for Sue Brown, so those are people who are not in the Zoom meeting today, you will actually have to fill in a Schedule 11. So you would have to follow in the information that is told to you in here. So it's actually only one extra page that you have to fill out. So you would fill this out, and the tuition amount will help you if you are having to pay tax. However, the tuition amount is an amount that only helps you to reduce your income tax so that you don't have to pay anything, but it won't help you to get a refund. So if you actually have more tuition than you need, you can actually save it for the next year. So let's say you graduate from post-secondary, then you can use that tuition amount later. Or what I used to do was, because my parents worked and they had to pay income tax, I would transfer some of my tuition amount to them so they would not have to pay income tax, okay? So they wouldn't have to pay as much. So that's what this part here is for, okay? So you don't have to worry about it now until first year university when you are working and you also are going to school. All right, so we're going to jump all the way down to box 335. And it says add lines 1 to 25 and line 30, okay? So they're using the new numbers on the right outside now, just because I guess these numbers are very big. So we're gonna add all of these numbers up, and then you're gonna enter a grand total in box 335. All right, so I'm gonna pause for you guys to do that, just to make sure that, see what numbers you get, okay? All right. Okay, so we're going to add lines 1 to 25 and line 30. So that's going to be 12929.56. Okay, and then we're going to do a little bit of math here from grade 8. We're going to times it by 15%. So we're going to times it by 0.15, and we're going to get 1939.43. So there's another schedule here. It says Schedule 9, which is donations and gifts. So some of you who maybe go to church and give tithings, this could also be included in here. So your donations. Now, what I do is I do go to church, but I save my tithing, not my tithings, but I save my donation receipts, because the more you donate, the more that you can actually have less tax that you have to pay. But the catch is you can also save it for 5 years, because there is a threshold. So I believe if you, let's say you donate, and it could be anything, it could be Red Cross as well, or maybe you're donating to some coronavirus thing, right? So if it's under $1,000, they give you less percentage than if it was over $1,000. So the more you have saved over a longer period of time, the maximum 5 years, then it's better to save it for 5 years, because they take a higher percentage. So let's say the percentage for under 1,000 was 2%, but let's say if you have over 1,000, it's 5%. So of course it's better to have 5% in returns than it is to have 2%. So I recommend, if you can, to save your gifts and donations forms and try to do it every 4 or 5 years, okay? All right, so there, she didn't donate or have any gifts, so we're going to add lines just 33 and 34, which is nothing which is going to be the same amount as 1939.43. Okay, so we're going to enter that here. All right, let's go a little bit quicker here. So we're going to continue on to the next page. Okay, so out of all the forms, this is probably the most difficult one to fill out. The T1 is very easy because we're just grabbing numbers from the other forms. Okay, so here it says enter your taxable income from line 260 of your return. Your return is the T1 general. Okay, so if I go back to my T1 general, which is this one here, I'm gonna scroll down until I find box 260. That's right over here. So it says taxable income is 6,500. So I'm gonna go back to my schedule 1 and I'm gonna enter in 6,500.00 in box 36. Okay.
Wait,
All right.
wait, slow down.
All right. Okay, so we're going to continue. So it says complete the appropriate column. So don't worry, you don't have to fill in every column, depending on the amount on line 36. So our amount is 6,500. Okay, so when we read these different, there's 5 columns here. So line 36 is 45,916 or less. So this is where she falls in. If you earn this much income, you would fill in the second box. If you earn between 91 and 142,000, we'd fill in the third column and so on, okay? So we're gonna fill in the first column. It says enter the amount from line 36. So we're gonna put in 6500.00, okay? All right, so it says line 37 minus line 38. For some reason, okay, oh, so if you're earning less than 45,916, you're gonna actually type, it's automatic. So notice that you can't actually edit these numbers. These are determined by the Canadian Revenue Agency, okay? So you can't do anything about that. So we're just gonna subtract, and this will be 6,500 again. All right, and then it says multiply line 39. So 39, notice it's over here on the right, it says 39. All of these are 39. We're gonna multiply it by line 40. So it depends on what your percentage is. So Catherine Casey's is 15% because she doesn't make very much. So we're gonna multiply that and we should get 900, I believe, and 75. So I'm just gonna do that. Yes, all right, so enter in 975.00. We're gonna add 0 because that's what it says to do. Okay, so you're gonna now add, and then you just get the same amount, $975.00. Okay. All right, so that's step 2. So going to step 3, here it says enter the amount from line 43. So all of these, depending on which column you followed, you're gonna enter that number into line 44. So you're gonna put 975.00 in lot box 44. Okay, next it says federal tax and split income. And this is only if you have a form T1206. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. I've never actually filled in this box myself. So we skip that. So add lines 44 and 45, and you're gonna put 975.00 again. Okay, so this has a little arrow here. That means you're gonna transfer that amount to this line over here at 46. So you now need to enter in 975.00 again on the right side here. Okay, all right, we're actually almost done. So it says now here, enter your total federal non-taxable tax credits from line 35 on the previous page. Okay, so we need to go back to line 35. Okay, so scroll back up or turn our page over. So here is line 35 and it says 1939.43. So we're gonna put that into box 47, okay? So 1939.43, okay? There's no dividend tax credit, there's no tax carryover unless you have some form that has already been given to you. So we're gonna add these 3 lines, 47, 48, and 49. So it's gonna be the same number again, 1939.43. Okay, and then there's a little arrow here, so you're gonna transfer that over to 50. So 1939.43. All right, so here it says line 46, which is $975, and you're gonna minus line 50, which is 1939. Now you can see that when you type these numbers in, you're gonna get a negative number, okay? So it says if it's negative, you're gonna enter a 0. So here you're gonna go 0.00. And then here's this federal foreign tax credit, which we don't have. And then you're going to go line 51 minus line 52. And since it was 0, so the federal tax on line is going to be 0.00. And that's line 53. Okay. All right, so we're going to keep scrolling down. And you're gonna scroll all the way down to here, and it says total federal political contributions. So this is where I talked about if you belong to a political party and you contribute, you can enter some tax credits here. Labor-sponsored fund tax credits, we don't have to worry about that. And then it says add lines 55 to 56. We don't have anything here. All right, so here, box 59, line 53 minus line 58. So we don't have any at 53. There's nothing at 58. We're going to put in 0.00 at line 59. All right. Next, box 60. It says working income tax benefit advance payments received. We don't have to worry about that. Special taxes, there aren't any. So finally, it says add lines 59, 60, and 61. There's nothing here, so we just have to enter 0.00. So box 62 should be 0.00. So that means that your net federal tax is 0.00. I know it seems a little bit pointless that we fill all of this form in and our taxes is just 00, but it's just the process that we have to go through, okay? And it's a little bit, I guess, annoying because we did all that work just to get 0, okay? All right, are there any questions? All right, so now that we have the net federal tax in line 62, so the line 62 is for this Schedule 1, but notice it also says 420 on the left side of the box. So what we're gonna do is, it says enter this amount on line 420 of your return, okay? So that amount is just 00. It's a little bit silly, but we do need to enter that in. So we're gonna go back to our T1 general, okay? So go back to your other form. So go find that piece of paper, and I'm going to scroll back down. So we are on the last page now. So this is line 420, and so line 420 says we're going to enter in 0.00. Okay. So that's it for there. And so now it says, so some of the other boxes, it says CPP contributions payable and self-employment. We didn't have self-employment. So unless you're going to be self-employed, some of you said maybe in the future you might be, you would then have numbers that you would enter into here. All right. Notice here it says that provincial or territorial tax. Notice that it's highlighted pink. So this whole line is highlighted pink, okay? So I'm going to show you that form. We're not going to actually fill it out just because of I don't need you to do it. I think that doing the federal tax was enough, but just to show you what it looks like, okay? So it is form 428, okay? So this is what it looks like. Notice that it is also pink. It's a pink form, so it matches. So it also has its own personal amount. So there's 10,208. You go through the same thing or something very similar, okay? Notice that it also has other things here. Now this is an old form. This is from 2017. Notice it has things like children's fitness amount, arts amount. I believe they took it out in 2020, but back in 2017 they did have. So this form is very similar to the one we just filled out for federal tax. So I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. Notice it even has the 5 boxes, but notice that the first box, the income is a little bit lower. So it says 38,000, whereas the federal tax one said 45,000. Okay, so you fill out this whole form similar to how you filled out Schedule 1 for the federal tax. Okay, so we're not going to do that just because it's kind of repetitive. Okay, so going back to the main T1 general or the return, you would then enter an amount in here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to enter in 00. Okay, because I'm going to assume that in the end, this will be 00. So for the pink form here, we're also just going to enter in 00, okay, because we're just going to pretend that we did it and it's 0, 0. In real life, you would actually have to fill in that pink form 428. Okay. All right. Only a few more numbers to fill in. Okay. So going down into here, box 437, it says total income tax deducted. Okay. So what we're going to do is now we need to actually go back to our T4. Okay, so the income tax deducted from her working at Best Bookstore was $150. And then she also worked at Mario's Pizzeria, and that was $101. So we're going to add the 150 and the 101. Okay, so that's going to be $251. So we're going to go to our return and we're going to enter in 251.00. Okay. There isn't anything else we need to enter in. There wasn't any overpayment, but definitely when you guys do your own read all of these just to make sure and go, hey, do I actually have that? Okay. So you don't have any of that. And then we go to this next one here, and there's another pink form. So for BC and territories, there's actually a second form. So I'll show you what that is, but we're gonna not fill it in again, okay? So here is the second form. It's called the BC 479. It's also pink to match the pink line. You would fill all of this in. Some of you had mentioned this when we were talking about in one of the worksheets. I think it was the earning money one. This is a sales tax credit. So many people do get a sales tax credit of $75, which is right here. Okay, so you would then fill it in. Pardon?
Were we supposed to print this one too?
Okay, so this is a sales tax credit. So most of you would be, because you guys are students right now, most of you will be able to claim the $75. And you enter that in here, and you go through all of these boxes again, okay? So for the purpose of this assignment, we will not be filling this in just because of time, okay? So I'm gonna go back to my T1 General. So we'll just assume that this is 0. So even for myself, because I made more money than was allocated, I actually couldn't actually claim it, and neither could my husband. So usually it's more for people who have lower income or students because you don't earn enough. So we can put 0, 0 in that pink line box. And then it says add lines 437 to 479. So that would be all of this in here. So that's going to be 251.00. So these are your tax credits. Okay. So we're going to put that in. The arrow says to put it over here. So we're going to put 251.00. All right, so this is the first time. So it says we're going to take line 435, which is 0.00, and we're going to minus line 482, okay? And this time we actually get a negative. Now, usually when it says negative, you enter in 0, but this time we're actually going to enter in negative. So make sure you write the negative sign, 251.00, okay? And then it says if the result is negative, you have a refund. If the result is positive, you have a balance owing. So what this means is that she could claim the amount that she could claim because she's not making enough or making very much. She actually didn't have to pay anything. So that's why this part was 0, 0. However, she actually paid $251 to not to Best Bookstore or Mario's Pizzeria, but they're the ones or the companies that she's working for, and they claim it for the government. Okay, so the 251, she's already paid that. So she actually paid $251 too much because she actually doesn't need to pay anything. So we're going to put that as a refund in box 484. Okay, so we're going to put 251.00. Okay. All right, so this is great. So most of you who are a student and even into your post-secondary, you will most likely be getting a refund, okay? So you would get a refund probably until, definitely until your first year, you're finishing post-secondary, and then maybe even in your first year, okay? Sometimes the employer might take off more taxes than it's required, and you will also get a refund. All right, so the last few boxes here, direct deposit. So if you wanted to direct deposit directly into your bank account, you would enter in your information here, okay? We're not gonna put in anything here. We're gonna just answer this last question here. So I certify that the information given on this return and in any documents attached is correct and complete and fully discloses all my income. So it says sign here. We can't sign unless you have a tablet that you can actually sign. So it does say it is a serious offense to make a false return. You can put your telephone, and then you can put the, oh, you can actually put a number. So I don't think we have a number for her to put in, but we can put in like 604 and then 9999, and then we'll put in today's date, which is June the 11th, 2020. Even though it's 2017. So actually that's a point that I wanted to make. Even though it's 2020, you can actually fill in any of the income tax forms from before. So I've heard people where they don't file every year. Usually it's more responsible to do it every year so that you don't have a backlog, but some people don't fill it in. But the problem is if you don't fill it in and you actually owe money, and you find out that you owe money, then you're actually gonna have to pay interest. So it's nicer to actually fill it in every year. And also if you're getting money back, why not fill it in every year so that you get a refund? Because you want your money. Okay, so I think that's it. You're then going to make sure that you save this document, save your Schedule 1, okay, which is this one here, okay? And if you are doing the assignment to be handed in tomorrow, you will also save Schedule 11, okay? So in the end, you will fill in 2 or 3 documents. So for those of you in Zoom chat, you're going to fill in 2 and you're going to send that in to me. If you are doing the assignment for tomorrow, you're going to fill in 3 PDFs and then send that in.